I'm leaving you. She's everything you're not. This is the story of a man who had everything: the perfect company, the perfect power, and what he thought was the perfect, simple wife. He was the face, the voice, the genius. Or so he thought. But what happens when the person you throw away, the person you underestimated and humiliated, is the one who signs your paycheck? This isn't just a love story gone wrong. This isn't just a cheap affair. This is a high-stakes corporate drama wrapped in a devastating betrayal, and it's all about to explode. We all know the pain of being taken for granted, but what you are about to see is a life-changing story of karma that is so shocking, it will restore your faith in justice. Get ready for the ultimate plot twist. The husband thought he was firing his wife, but he doesn't know she's the secret CEO. The battle for the boardroom is about to become a war for revenge, and the emotional fallout will be massive. Stay with us, because this revenge story is one you have to see to believe. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments, have you ever seen betrayal this deep? Now, like this video if you believe karma is real, and make sure you subscribe, because this journey is just getting started. Those words just hung in the air, cold and heavy. I'm leaving you, Claire. She's everything you're not. Kevin Simmons delivered the fatal blow with a smug precision, a man ending a chapter. He was completely, blissfully unaware that he wasn't just abandoning his wife. He was, in that moment, insulting the secret CEO of his very own company, the woman who, unbeknownst to him, was the sole reason he had a job at all. The irony was thicker than fog. He watched her, almost eager for the tears, the breakdown. Clare Morris was, in his mind, the definition of simple dependency. But the initial shock on her face was quickly replaced by a calm that, well, it just irritated him. He mistook her profound composure for weakness, a shocking and life-changing error in judgment. This wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was the prologue to an epic corporate drama and a deeply personal revenge story. Kevin could barely contain his relief, already picturing his new, upgraded life. He felt free, untethered, ready to seize what he believed was his rightful destiny. He had no idea his destiny was inextricably linked to the very woman he had just underestimated so terminally. His betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was a catastrophic strategic blunder. The arrogant husband had just declared war on the queen, not knowing she ruled his entire kingdom. The room felt small as the weight of his affair and his decision settled. Had viewed his simple life with Claire as an anchor, holding him back. What he spectacularly failed to see was that she wasn't the anchor, she was the entire bloody ocean. This soured love story was about to pivot, turning into the most complex revenge story imaginable, and Kevin Simmons had just handed Clare Morris all the motivation she would ever need, all by underestimating her secret identity. Her silence after his bombshell was deafening. To Kevin, it was the sound of a woman broken, utterly humiliated. To Claire, it was the sound of gears shifting, vaults locking, and battle plans being meticulously drawn. Her husband could have his tawdry affair, but he had no clue the wife he was discarding actually owned the whole company. The real drama was only just beginning, and his initial shock was coming. He misread every single cue, every controlled breath she took. She's everything you're not. That phrase was going to echo in his mind for eternity. He wanted a trophy wife, and had found one. What he failed to compute was that Clare Morris wasn't a trophy, she was the owner, operator, and founder of the entire stadium. His betrayal was the catalyst, but her revenge would be the main event of the divorce. He grabbed his jacket, feeling light, like a massive weight had been lifted. Oh, boy. He didn't know had just pulled the pin on a live grenade. The underestimated woman at the table wasn't just his future ex-wife, she was karma incarnate, patiently biding her time. Her secret identity was her ultimate shield, and his ego was his greatest weakness. The love story was dead, the revenge story was born. This is the moment that defines everything. That single, blistering second of pure arrogance. What one word describes Kevin's attitude right now? Let us know in the comments. He was so blinded by his own reflection he couldn't see the secret CEO sitting inches away. He thought he was ending an affair, but he was starting a war. His shock was still loading, but it would be shocking. The ultimate plot twist of this saga was still a long way off, but the seeds of Kevin's deep, painful regret were sown in that instant. He thought he was in control. He thought he was winning. But in the game of life, when you humiliate the wrong person, karma has a funny way of settling the score. And Kevin Simmons' karma had a name: Clare Morris. The revenge would be devastatingly emotional. For years, the name Kevin Simmons was synonymous with the company's success. He was the face in the magazines, the voice at the conferences, the guy who shook the hands and closed the deals. He was the corporate empire, or at least, that's the facade he projected. He walked with a swagger that most people mistook for genius. He moved through the world as if he owned it, and honestly, he truly believed he did. Meanwhile, in the shadows, there was Clare Morris. To the world, and more tragically, to Kevin, she was just the simple, supportive wife. The one who smiled politely at company dinners, the one who made sure his shirts were pressed, the one who listened to his endless monologues about his achievements. She was the quiet background, the constant presence he'd long since learned to ignore, the one he took for granted every single day. What Kevin, in his bubble of self-congratulation, never bothered to consider was why the foundation he danced on was so stable. The company wasn't a playground he'd built. He was just the loud, public-facing spokesman. The real architect, the mind behind the curtain, the secret CEO, was the same simple woman he underestimated back at home. Her secret identity was the empire's most closely guarded secret. He loved the applause. He thrived on the drama of high-stakes negotiations. But the entire structure supporting him, the financials, the long-term strategy, the decisions that actually mattered, all came from Clare. She let him have his spotlight, perhaps because of an old love story she still cherished, or perhaps because her true genius understood the value of having a loud, obnoxious lightning rod. His betrayal, therefore, cut twice as deep. It wasn't just a husband breaking his vows, it was the most spoiled employee in the company spitting in the face of the founder. He saw her life as small, domestic. He had no idea that his big world was a sandbox she had built for him.
This level of deception, this secret identity maintained for years, was a testament to her underestimated brilliance. Clare Morris was running a multi-billion-dollar operation from her home office, and Kevin Simmons thought she was just balancing the checkbook. The irony was almost poetic. He would brag about his bonuses, not realizing she was the one who approved the budget. The impending divorce wasn't just the end of marriage, it was an extinction-level event for Kevin's career, and he was skipping happily toward it. This dynamic, this facade of power versus a real, quiet power, is the heart of the drama. He was the arrogant public face. She was a silent owner. Like this video as a sign of respect for Clare's incredible patience. It's a dynamic we see all the time, but rarely on this grand scale. And the fall, my friends, is always proportional to the arrogance. Their love story, if it ever truly was one, had long since eroded under the weight of his ego. He saw her as an accessory, and she was about to show him what happens when the accessory decides it's actually the one running the whole show. The woman he took for granted was the only thing holding him up, and he was about to discover that in the most shocking way possible. Karma had been watching this dynamic for years. The scales were dangerously imbalanced. The husband was at the peak of his delusion, and the wife was at the end of her rope. The reveal of her secret identity wouldn't just be a plot twist, it would be a complete rewriting of Kevin's reality. And it all started with his delusional belief that he was a genius. The problem with Kevin Simmons wasn't just his ego, it was his unshakable belief in his own mythology. He genuinely believed he was a genius, the rainmaker, the engine of the company. In his mind, Clare Morris was, at best, a supporting character in his grand story. He treated her not as a partner, but as an accessory he had grown tired of. An old piece of furniture in a life he wanted to be sleek and new. This arrogance was a thick fog, blinding him to the most obvious truth. He never once questioned why his name, for all his public face status, wasn't on the founding documents. He never wondered why the mysterious founder remained so resolutely in the shadows. He was too busy admiring his own reflection in the skyscraper's glass to notice her name was on the deed. The reality was right there, screaming at anyone who bothered. Leclerc's name was on every paycheck. Literally, the empire he claimed as his own was built on her signature. But Kevin's blindness was selective and total. He saw her modesty as a lack of ambition. He saw her support as dependency. He underestimated the woman who held his entire fate in the palm of her hand, and that would be his undoing. He saw her as dead weight, someone he was carrying out a lingering memory of their failed love story. What a joke. He was a balloon, and she was a hand holding the string, keeping him from floating off into irrelevance. The divorce he initiated wasn't him breaking free, it was him severing his own lifeline. His betrayal was fueled by this delusion of superiority, and the shock of reality would be brutal. Think about the cognitive dissonance required to live like that, to wake up next to the secret CEO for years and treat her like a glorified assistant. Kevin Simmons wasn't just a bad husband, he was a terrible observer of reality. He was about to get a life-changing lesson in cause and effect, one that would involve a great deal of public humiliation and private regret. Be honest, if you were in Kevin's shoes, would you have noticed the truth? Or is arrogance that powerful a blindfold? It's a fascinating moral and psychological dilemma. He was so focused on the affair and his new life that he missed every single sign. The wife he scorned was the only reason he had a life to show off in the first place. Claire's secret identity was her fortress, but Kevin's arrogance was his weakness. She had loved him, or at least the idea of him, long enough to let him play king in her castle. But the affair and the betrayal were the end of the game. He wasn't just tired of her as an accessory, he actively disrespected her, opening the door for karma to walk right in. The final irony is that he was preparing to take over the company, not knowing it was already owned. He thought he was playing chess, but he wasn't even on the board, he was a pawn being moved. The plot twist wouldn't just be that she was a secret CEO, it would be the crushing realization of just how blind he had been for so very long. Her revenge wouldn't even require effort, reality would do all the heavy lifting. The drama unfolding was a classic Greek tragedy of hubris. Kevin, the tragic protagonist, blinded by his own perceived brilliance, marching toward his doom. And Clare Morris, the underestimated figure, holding the script. The impending shock would be emotional and financial, a life-changing lesson he would never, ever forget. Regret was about to become his new best friend. The ink on the divorce papers wasn't even dry hell. It hadn't even been filed, and Kevin Simmons was already in full-in display mode. He wasted zero time. The younger model, his new prize, the result of a secret affair, was now firmly on his arm in public. This wasn't just about moving on, it was a statement. It was about showing Clare Morris and the world that he had upgraded. He chose his venue with calculated cruelty, a major company event, a place where Clare Morris, as a supportive wife of the company's public face, was expected to be. Kevin didn't just bring his mistress, he flaunted her. And the new girlfriend, feeling herself as a new queen, was all too happy to play the part. She was just as arrogant as him, maybe more. It happened near the bar. The new girlfriend, with a smile that dripped condescension, looked Claire up and down. Claire's modest clothes, her classic, understated style, became the target. "I just love your style." It's so simple, she sneered, the venom palpable. She laughed, looking to Kevin for approval, and he gave it. He smirked right along with her, sealing his betrayal. Picture the scene. The wife being openly mocked by the mistress in front of colleagues, while the husband not only allows it, but encourages it. This wasn't passive betrayal, this was an active, public execution. The humiliation was total. The drama was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. People looked away, uncomfortable. But to Kevin, it was a power play. He was establishing the new hierarchy. Clare Morris, the secret CEO of the entire operation, was being mocked for her simple lifestyle by her arrogant employees' arm candy. The irony was so rich, it was almost comical, if it weren't so tragic. Claire maintained her composure, a polite, fixed smile on her face, but inside, steel was being forged. Any lingering regret about what was to come just evaporated. This moment was emotional and life-changing. Any last, Lingering embers of the love story Claire might have been holding onto were instantly extinguished. The pain of the betrayal gave way to a cold, hard clarity. This man, Kevin Simmons, did not deserve her sadness. He deserved consequences. Karma was taking copious notes, and Claire's revenge story just found its opening chapter. The girlfriend, of course, had no idea who she was insulting. She thought she was kicking someone who was already down. She didn't know she was mocking the one woman who could end her newfound life of luxury with a single phone call. She was as blinded by the company's glamour as Kevin was, unaware of who really controlled the lights. Claire's secret identity was her shield, but it also exposed a rot in others. What one word would you use to describe Kevin's new girlfriend? Be creative. Her mockery wasn't just about clothes, it was about status. She was trying to solidify her own position by tearing down the woman she had replaced. She and Kevin deserved each other, both shallow, both cruel, and both about to get a shocking wake-up call when the plot twist finally landed. Kevin felt triumphant that night. He went home with his new trophy, feeling like the king of the world. He had successfully humiliated the wife he so deeply underestimated. He just didn't realize that this single act of public scorn was a final nail in his professional coffin. Claire's revenge wouldn't be loud, it would be precise. And it would start with the divorce talks. The divorce negotiations began, and Kevin Simmons walked into the lawyer's office like an emperor bestowing charity. He was riding high on his own arrogance, fresh from the victory of the company event. He sat across from Clare Morris and adopted a tone of patronizing sympathy. "Claire, I want to make sure you're taken care of," he began, his voice dripping with false magnanimity. He then laid out his offer, a generous settlement. He called it enough for her to get back on her feet. He was, in essence, offering her a tiny fraction of her own vast fortune, presenting it as a gift from his success. He warned her, with a feigned seriousness, that it was a tough world out there. "You're going to be lost without my success to support you," he said, without a single shred of irony. The scene was utterly surreal. The employee was warning the secret CEO that she wouldn't survive without his paycheck. Clare Morris just listened, her face a mask of calm, her eyes analyzing the man across the table. The man she had built a life with, the man she had allowed to shine, was now so consumed by his own PR that he actually believed it. He had underestimated her to an almost pathological degree. He went on, detailing how she'd have to tighten her belt, how her life of luxury, which, again, she paid for, was over. It was a monologue of self-aggrandizement disguised as concern. The drama in the room was entirely one-sided. Kevin was performing a play that only he understood. He truly believed he was being the good guy in this divorce, the magnanimous husband. His betrayal came with a condescending smile. This was a final, and perhaps greatest, verbal humiliation, to be warned by your subordinate that you might struggle to pay your bills. Clare Morris, the woman who could buy the building they were sitting in and fire Kevin's lawyers with a snap of her fingers, just nodded. She was playing a much, much longer game. Her secret identity was both her armor and her weapon. The shock for Kevin wouldn't come now. Now was his time for delusional glory. He was so focused on his affair and his new, shiny life that he didn't realize he was negotiating the terms of his own surrender, all while thinking he was dictating hers. The love story was so dead, its ghost didn't even bother to show up. This was just business. This meeting solidified his fate. He wasn't just a cheating husband, he was a fool. He was so blinded by his own reflection that he couldn't see the power sitting right opposite him. Like this video, if you believe arrogance is the biggest blind spot, Kevin was a prime example. He was offering the queen a pittance from her own treasury, and he felt good about it. The emotional toll on Claire was immense, but it was being channeled, not into sadness, but into resolve. The betrayal was complete. The drama was set. Kevin was about to learn a life-changing lesson about what happens when you underestimate a quiet woman. He thought he was winning the divorce, but he was just signing his own professional death warrant. He left that meeting feeling smug. Had been generous. Had done the right thing. He told his new girlfriend how well had handled it, how pathetic Claire had seemed. His regret was still a long way off, but the karma train had just left the station, and it was running at full speed, right toward a successful life. The plot twist was getting closer. Clare Morris sat there, absorbing the insult of his generous offer. She was heartbroken. Yes, the betrayal of the husband she had once loved, the man she had built. It was a deep emotional wound. But beneath the heartbreak, a different kind of fire was burning. A cold, resolute strength that Kevin Simmons had never, ever seen. He saw the heartbroken, but he completely missed the resolute. So she did the last thing he expected. She quietly agreed. No fighting, no tears, no screaming about what she was owed. She just agreed to his patronizing terms. She never once hinted that she was a secret CEO. She never pointed out the astronomical, laughable irony of him giving her money. She never let on that she was the one paying his salary, and the salary of every lawyer in that room. This, right here, was her masterstroke. Kevin, in his arrogance, saw this as a total victory. He saw her quiet agreement as weakness, as her acknowledging that she was, as he warned, lost without him. He couldn't have been more wrong. Her agreement wasn't surrender, it was a strategy. It was the calm before the storm. She was letting him build his own gallows, and he was whistling while he worked. The drama was all in his head. In reality, Claire was simply tidying up. She was handling the divorce with the same ruthless efficiency she used to run her company. This was just another hostile element to be managed and neutralized. The love story was over, and this was now a business transaction. A very, very personal business transaction that would end with a plot twist for the ages. Her secret identity remained perfectly intact. His condescension actually made it easier for her to hide. He was so busy looking down on her. He never bothered to look at her. He never saw the steel in her spine, the calculation in her eyes. He just saw the simple wife he had underestimated and grown tired of. And she was more than happy to let him keep that image, right up until the final, shocking reveal. The emotional strength it took for her to sit there, to be humiliated by the man she had supported, and to play along. It's unimaginable. But Clare Morris knew the stakes. This wasn't about winning a small battle over a settlement. This was about winning the war for her life, her company, and her self-respect. Her revenge would not be petty, it would be definitive. So she let him have his moment. She let him believe he was a conqueror, the genius, the magnanimous husband dealing with his hysterical wife. She let him sign the papers that he thought were his liberation, but were, in fact, his own death warrant. The betrayal was his, but the victory would be hers. What do you think was going through Claire's mind at this exact moment? Share your thoughts. She was an iceberg of rage and power, and Kevin was dancing on the tip, oblivious to the mountain of ice beneath the surface. Her secret identity was safe, and his karma was officially sealed. He thought he was free, but he was more trapped than ever. He walked out of that meeting and probably called his affair partner to celebrate. He had won. He had gotten rid of the old wife, and it barely cost him anything. He had no idea he had just been checkmated by the person he thought didn't even know how to play the game. The regret would be all the more delicious for this moment of supreme arrogance. The false defeat. The moment the boot pressed down hard. It happened a few days later, in a place Claire used to love, a quiet cafe. But the new girlfriend, the younger model, wasn't quiet. She saw Claire sitting alone and saw an opportunity. She marched over, with Kevin Simmons in tow, who just stood there. He watched, solidifying his ultimate betrayal. "You really need to just accept it," the girlfriend sneered, her voice loud enough for nearby tables to hear. The drama was now painfully public. "You're old news. He's moved on to better things." To me, she leaned in, a cruel smile playing on her lips. "Just let it go. It's pathetic." The humiliation was thick, a physical thing hanging in the air. And Kevin, the husband, the business genius, he just watched. He didn't offend the woman who had been his wife for over a decade. He didn't tell his new girlfriend to back off. He just watched, his silence a deafening endorsement of the cruelty. This, more than the affair itself, was a final, unforgivable betrayal. It cemented what he had become. This was Claire's lowest point. Publicly humiliated, abandoned, and insulted, she was the secret CEO of a massive company. And here she was being told she was old news by this child, The emotional pain was sharp, but so was the clarity. This was the point of no return. Any lingering doubt about what she had to do vanished. The love story was now officially a horror story. If you were sitting in that cafe, what would you have done? Be honest. This is a true test of character. Kevin failed spectacularly. He failed as a husband, as a man, and as a human being. He proved he was nothing more than a shallow coward, led by his ego and his libido. His karma was building, and the interest rate was getting high. This confrontation was, in a twisted way, a gift. It severed the last emotional thread. Clare Morris was no longer just a woman scorned. She was a woman galvanized. The revenge story wasn't just about the company anymore. It was about this. It was about the moment he stood by and let her be torn down. Her revenge would be total. The girlfriend felt powerful. She thought she'd won. She'd marked her territory and put the old wife in her place. She had no idea she had just insulted the one person who held her and Kevin's entire future in her hands. This underestimated woman, sipping her coffee, was about to bring their whole world crashing down. The plot twist was going to be biblical. Kevin and his girlfriend walked away, laughing about it, probably. They felt superior. They were the winners. They left Clare Morris alone in the cafe, seemingly defeated. But they weren't leaving a victim. They were leaving a warrior who had just been handed her banner. The shocking finale was now set in stone. The divorce was one thing. This was personal. This was a life-changing moment of cruelty that demanded an answer. And Clare, the secret CEO, was nothing if not strategic. The regret Kevin would feel wouldn't just be about money or power. It would be about this moment. The moment he proved he had no soul. After the cafe humiliation, the game changed. Clare Morris was no longer heartbroken. She was focused. The emotional fog of the betrayal lifted, replaced by the cold, sharp clarity of a CEO on a mission. She didn't want a protracted, messy divorce. She didn't want to fight over forks and knives. She wanted a clean cut, a surgical extraction. So she used her hidden resources, which is to say, her vast, undisclosed personal fortunito greased the wheels. She hired the best and fastest legal team money could buy, not to fight Kevin, but to agree with him. She fast-tracked everything. She signed his generous offer so fast it probably gave him whiplash. She wanted him gone. Kevin Simmons was ecstatic. He couldn't believe his luck. The divorce was finalized in record time. He had won a total victory. His simple wife had just rolled over, just as had predicted. He was free. He was rich, or so he thought, and he had the new girlfriend. He was on top of the world, a true master of the universe. His arrogance was at an all-time high. He didn't, for 1 second, question why it was so easy. It never occurred to him that Clare wasn't fighting, because the winnings he was so proud of were just pocket change to her. She wasn't fighting for scraps from the table, because she owned the whole damn table. The secret CEO had just closed the deal, and the deal was his expedited exit. The drama was over, he thought. The love story was a closed book. He had successfully navigated the messy divorce and come out smelling like a rose. He was now free to focus on the next big step in his career. The company's annual shareholders meeting was coming up, and he had big plans. He was completely oblivious to the plot twist she was engineering. This total victory was the final setup. Claire let him believe he had won. She let him bask in his own perceived genius. She knew that for karma to be truly effective, the recipient had to be at the absolute peak of their hubris before the fall. And Kevin Simmons was flying dangerously close to the sun. Like this video, if you believe Claire's quiet move was a total power play. She didn't raise her voice, she raised the stakes. She let him have the battle so she could win the war. The underestimated wife had just played him like a violin, and he was singing her praises for it. The revenge story was moving into its final, brilliant phase. She used her secret identity not as a sword, but as a shield. It allowed her to move unseen, to finalize the divorce on her terms, all while he thought they were his. The betrayal was still fresh, but the revenge was already in motion. He thought he was free, but he was a dead man walking. The ink was dry. Clare Morris was no longer his wife. She was just his boss, his secret CEO, And the performance review for Kevin Simmons was about to be absolutely brutal. The shocking realization of what he had done and who he had done it to was just around the corner. With the divorce finalized, Kevin Simmons was a new man. He felt triumphant. He had shed his simple wife, his boring life, and had come out completely unscathed. He was a conquering hero of his own story. Now, all his focus was on the one thing he felt he truly deserved: total control of the company. The annual shareholders meeting was just weeks away. This was his moment. For years, he had been the brilliant public face, while mysterious founder and CEO remained in the shadows. Kevin was convinced this was the year. Had heard rumors that the board was finally going to name a new public-facing CEO to replace the mysterious and reclusive founder. He prepared his speech. He bought a new suit. He practiced his confident smile in the mirror. He was certain they meant him. Who else could it be? He was a genius, the rainmaker. He had earned this. He saw himself walking onto that stage, the applause thundering, finally getting the recognition he had always craved. His secret identity, in his mind, was the true king. He was so wrapped up in his own fantasy that he couldn't see the glaring holes in his logic. He never stopped to ask why the founder was so mysterious. He never wondered who this person was that held so much power. He just assumed they were irrelevant, and he was the one who mattered. His arrogance had reached its zenith. This was the peak before the shocking fall. The drama he was imagining was one of coronation. The reality, engineered by Clare was one of execution. The secret CEO was, indeed, preparing to make a change. The mysterious founder was finally ready to step into the light, and Kevin was unwittingly preparing the stage for her, not for himself. The plot twist was going to be delicious. He felt no regret, not for the betrayal, not for the affair, not for the humiliation had caused. In his mind, Claire was just a stepping stone he had now stepped over. He was moving on to bigger and better things. This life-changing meeting was going to be the start of his real life. He was so wrong. What do you think Kevin was most excited about? The power or the glory? Drop your answer. It's a key part of his fatal flaw. He wasn't just arrogant, he was shallow. He didn't just want to be the CEO, he wanted to be seen as the CEO. And Clare Morris, the underestimated ex-wife, was about to give him the show of a lifetime. The entire company was buzzing. Everyone felt a change was coming. Kevin interpreted this buzz as excitement for him. He lapped it up, his ego swelling to monstrous proportions. He was the husband who had won the divorce and was now about to win the company. He was unstoppable. But karma is a patient beast. It had watched him prepare. It had watched him gloat. It had watched him underestimate the one person he should have feared. The shareholders' meeting wasn't going to be his coronation. It was going to be his trial, his sentencing, and his humiliation, all rolled into one glorious, shocking event. The night before the big shareholders' meeting, Kevin Simmons was on top of the world. He took his new girlfriend out to the most expensive restaurant in the city. He ordered the best champagne. He was celebrating his future, a future he believed was now guaranteed. He was a conquering hero, and this was his victory feast. He raised his glass, looking into her eyes. "Tomorrow, it's all ours," he said, his voice brimming with a confidence that bordered on insanity. This whole company, the power, the money, everything. He was promising her the world, a world he fundamentally did not own. He was writing checks with an account that wasn't his. And Clare Morris? The girlfriend asked with a slight sneer. Kevin laughed. It was a cold, dismissive sound. Claire? Shall be nothing. Shall be a distant, poor memory. He said it with such finality, such cruelty. He had just humiliated and discarded the secret CEO, and he was now dismissing her as a poor memory. The betrayal was still echoing. This right here is the apex of his hubris. He wasn't just wrong, he was spectacularly wrong. He was so blinded by his own narrative that he couldn't see the shocking truth. He thought Clare Morris was in her small apartment, crying over the divorce. He had no idea she was at her penthouse office, approving the script for his public takedown. The drama he envisioned was a coronation. The drama Claire was planning was a revenge story, a life-changing lesson in karma that was about to be broadcast to the entire corporate world. His promise to his girlfriend was as empty as his own soul. He promised her it all, not realizing it all belonged to the woman he just called a poor memory. The girlfriend, of course, bought it all. She was in love with the idea of Kevin, the genius CEO. She had no interest in Kevin Simmons, the man. She was in it for the money and the status had promised her. Their entire relationship was built on the shallow foundation of his company position opposition. He didn't really have. Curta este video como signo de que você está pronto para, ok, vamos seguir. Oh, okay. I must keep in English. Like this video is a sign that you are ready for what comes next. This is the final moment of calm before the storm. The final indulgence of an ego that is about to be shattered into a million pieces. The plot twist is locked and loaded. He was so sure. That's the key. There was no doubt in his mind. He had underestimated his wife so completely that she had been erased from his equation of power. He saw her as an irrelevant, emotional casualty of his rise to the top. He forgot one crucial detail. She wasn't a casualty. She was a commander-in-chief. His regret was going to be legendary. As he sipped his champagne, toasting to a future that would never happen, Clare Morris was probably rehearsing her own speech. A speech that would not just be a plot twist, but a complete rewriting of their entire love story and his entire career. He was about to become the poor memory. The day arrived, the shareholders' meeting. The room was packed. The energy was electric. Kevin Simmons sat in the front row, his new girlfriend beside him, looking every bit the triumphant incoming king. He nodded confidently at board members, a knowing smirk on his face. He felt the spotlight on him already. He was ready for his life-changing moment. The lights dimmed. The company chairman walked the podium, his face serious. The room fell silent. "Good morning," the chairman began. "We are here today to mark a new chapter for this company. A chapter of transparency, vision, and a return to our core values." Kevin felt a thrill. This is it. He straightened his tie. For years, our founder and CEO has chosen to remain anonymous, guiding us from the shadows. The chairman continued. But with a new vision we are implementing, our founder has decided it is finally time to step into the light. The room held its breath. This was the drama everyone had been waiting for. Kevin's heart was pounding, ready to leap onto the stage. "It is my distinct and great honor," the chairman said, pausing for dramatic effect, "to finally introduce the true owner, the visionary founder, and the CEO of this company." The anticipation was unbearable. Kevin actually started to push his chair back, ready to stand. He was beaming. He was looking at his girlfriend, who was already mentally spending his new salary. The plot twist was here. The air crackled. This was the moment that would define everything. The culmination of the affair, the divorce, the betrayal, and the intricate revenge story. All of Kevin's arrogance, all of his humiliation of Clare, had led to this single, perfect, shocking second. The chairman scanned the room, his eyes landing. Not on Kevin. His gaze moved past him to the side of the stage. Kevin's smile wavered, a flicker of confusion in his eyes. "What's going on?" This wasn't part of the script had written in his head. The secret CEO was about to be revealed, and it wasn't him. Please join me in welcoming Clare Morris. The silence was deafening. And then, the shock. This is the moment. The pivot. The shocking, beautiful, brutal plot twist. What do you think Kevin's very first thought was? Mistake? Joke? Impossible? Put it in the comments. The secret CEO had just taken the stage, and Kevin's world was about to end. The karma was so perfect, so precise, it was almost poetic. The woman had called a poor memory 12 hours ago was now being introduced as his boss, his real boss. The underestimated wife was the owner of everything. The drama had just hit its climax, and it was glorious. Time stopped. For Kevin Simmons, the entire world ground to a halt. The name Clare Morris echoed in the auditorium, but it didn't compute. It was an error, a glitch in the matrix. It had to be. He stared, frozen in horror, a grotesque mass of confusion and dawning terror on his face. He was the center of his own universe, and that universe had just imploded. And then the spotlight hit her, not at the table, not in her simple clothes. Clare Morris walked onto the stage from the wings, and she was transformed. She was in a power suit that probably cost more than his car. Her hair was sleek. Her posture was pure, unadulterated confidence. She didn't just walk, she owned the room. She was, in every sense of the word, the secret CEO. This was the plot twist of a lifetime. The shock in the room was palpable, a collective gasp. People looked from Clare on stage to Kevin in the front row, his face ashen. The drama was better than any movie. The underestimated wife he had humiliated and discarded was the mysterious founder he was planning to replace. Kevin Simmons literally couldn't move. He was paralyzed by the shocking revelation. His entire life, his success, his genius. It was all a lie. A story had told himself. A story she had allowed. He wasn't the rainmaker, he was the court jester. And the queen, his ex-wife, had just taken her throne. The betrayal. His betrayal. Suddenly looked so stupid. The love story was a distant memory. The revenge story was in full, glorious swing. But this wasn't a scorned woman revenge. This was a CEO taking back control of her company from an arrogant, underperforming employee who also happened to be her ex-husband. The karma was exquisite. Her secret identity was out. And as she stepped up to the podium, she didn't even look at him. Not yet. She was all business. She was in her element. And Kevin was just a spectator at his own execution. The humiliation had inflicted on her at the company event was child's play compared to this. This was checkmate. Like this video as a sign of respect for Claire's ultimate power move. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just became who she had always been. She let her success, her true identity, be the revenge. The emotional weight of this reveal was crushing, and it was all on Kevin. He finally understood. The generous divorce settlement, the easy agreement, her quiet calm. It wasn't weakness, it was power. She wasn't fighting him for scraps because she owned the whole feast. Had been underestimated? No, he had underestimated her. And that was a mistake that would cost him everything. The shock was so profound, it was life-changing. In that single second, Kevin Simmons realized his life as he knew it was over. The man who thought he was being named CEO was now just the ex-husband of the actual CEO. The regret was so sudden and so total. It was a physical blow. As the shocking reality began to settle, the younger model sitting next to Kevin Simmons was doing her own rapid calculations. Her face went through a hilarious series of expressions: confusion, then disbelief, then pure, unadulterated rage. She wasn't looking at Claire with awe, she was looking at Kevin with disgust. She had hitched her wagon to a star, or so she thought. She had attached herself to the genius rainmaker, the future CEO, the man who was going to give her everything. And in the span of 30 seconds, she had just realized that her star was, in fact, a broke, powerless, unemployed fool. The husband she had won from the wife was a fraud. Realizing that Kevin Simmons had no power, no money of his own, and was, in fact, about to be humiliated, she did the only thing a person of her shallow character could do. She didn't comfort him. She didn't offer support. She scoffed, an audible, disgusted sound. "You have got to be kidding me," she muttered, loud enough for him to hear. And then she stood up right in the middle of the shareholders' meeting. As Clare Morris was about to begin her speech, the girlfriend grabbed her purse, gave Kevin one last look of utter contempt, and stormed out of the auditorium. She didn't just walk, she stormed. The drama was just chef's kiss. This was the karma for the affair. The woman had committed a betrayal for the one who was everything Claire wasn't. Abandoned him the second she realized he wasn't the prize she thought he was. It proved her loyalty was only to his perceived status. He had traded a diamond for a piece of glass, and the glass just shattered. Kevin was left completely, utterly alone. His wife was on stage, taking control of the company. His mistress had just abandoned him in the most public way possible. He was left to face the consequences of his arrogance, his betrayed false guttural, and his humiliation all by himself. It was a beautiful, tragic, and utterly deserved moment. This is the plot twist within the plot twist. He didn't just lose his company, he lost his new life. 2. It was all a sham, built on his own lies. What do you think was more painful for Kevin in this moment, losing the job or being dumped? Let us know. The emotional whiplash for him was brutal. Head gone from triumphant king to shattered fool in less than 5 minutes. His whole support system, which was just his own ego and a gold digger, evaporated. He was left naked, exposed, and entirely to blame. His regret was just beginning. As the door slammed shut behind her, Clare Morris paused, looked calmly at the commotion, and then turned back to microphone. She hadn't even started her speech, and she had already cleaned house. The secret CEO was officially in charge, and her ex-husband was now just nobody. With the exit of his girlfriend, the last flimsy prop holding up his fantasy life was gone. Kevin Simmons was left shattered. It wasn't just embarrassment. It was a total, systemic collapse of his entire reality. The shock was so profound, he was still frozen, unable to process the sheer scale of his ruin. He finally looked at Clare Morris on the stage, really looked at her, and for the first time he saw her. He didn't see the simple wife head underestimated. He saw an incredible woman, a woman of incredible power, intelligence, and a quiet kindness he had mistaken for weakness, a woman he had taken for granted every single day. He realized, in that life-changing second, that his arrogance, his superficiality, his need for cheap thrills, it had cost him everything. Not just the company, not just the money. It cost him the one person who had ever truly mattered, the one person who had been the foundation of his entire successful life. The love story he had burned down was, it turned out, the only real thing he had. The regret was a physical thing, a crushing weight on his chest. It was a shocking, all-consuming emotional wave. Every cruel word, every dismissive gesture, every moment of his affair, it all came crashing back. The humiliation had dished out at the company event, the condescension in the divorce meeting. He felt the phantom sting of it all, but now directed at himself. He wasn't just a fool, he was the architect of his own misery. This was karma in its purest form. He had betrayed the one person who had given him everything, and now he had nothing. The drama wasn't just corporate, it was a deep, personal tragedy of his own making. He had lost a love story in the company in one devastating blow. The incredible woman he had thrown away was now in complete control. His fate was entirely in her hands. The man who, days earlier, had warned her that she'd be lost without him, was now the one who was truly, completely lost. The irony was so bitter, it was almost choking him. If he could send a one-sentence message to Kevin right now, what would it be? His journey of regret was just beginning, and it was going to be a long, hard road. He had underestimated the secret CEO, and now he was just a humiliated ex-husband. He had chased a younger model in an empty title, and in doing so, he lost a queen and a kingdom. The plot twist was complete, or so he thought. He had no idea what was coming next. He expected to be fired, to be thrown out. But Clare Morris was more complex than that. Her revenge was not just about destruction. It was about rebuilding. And she was about to make her first move as the public CEO, a move that would be the most shocking of all. Clare Morris took a breath and finally locked eyes with Kevin Simmons. His shattered, humiliated expression was all the confirmation she needed, but she didn't gloat. Her face was not one of revenge, it was one of command. She was the secret CEO no longer. She was just the CEO. She turned to the podium and addressed the stunned room. "Good morning," she said, her voice clear and strong, cutting through the drama. "My name is Clare Morris, and I am the founder of this company." She then laid out her new vision, a vision of integrity, accountability, and innovation. She spoke with a passion and intelligence that rooted everyone to their seats. She wasn't just a mysterious founder, she was a leader. The room was mesmerized. The shock was wearing off, replaced by a new kind of awe. This underestimated woman was a powerhouse. She was brilliant, and she was completely in control. The love story and betrayal were a subplot. This was the main event, her reclaiming her company and her power. Then she got to the final point of her agenda, to usher in this new era of accountability. She said, her voice firm, "We must first address the old one." Her eyes found Kevin's again. "Mr. Kevin Simmons, she said, her tone professional, has been the public face of this company for a long time, but his actions, both public and private, have ceased to align with our values. Kevin's heart sank. This was it, the firing, the public execution. But Claire was more creative than that. Therefore, he will not be fired, she said. A new murmur of shock went through the crowd. Instead, he will be demoted. She didn't just demote him. She demoted him to an entry-level job, back to the mailroom or the equivalent. He must re-earn his position, she announced to the board, and more importantly, he must re-earn his integrity. From the bottom, no special treatment. It was a stunning plot twist. It wasn't just revenge, it was a life-changing challenge. This was the ultimate karma, not to be cast out, but to be forced to face his humiliation every single day, to report to people he once bullied, to see the company he thought was his, now knowing it was hers. It was a humbled Kevin, stripped of everything, who had to make a choice. Was this a better punishment than firing him? Yes or no? Let us know your thoughts. It was a move of pure genius. A vindicative story, but one that left a tiny, impossible door open for redemption. She hadn't just destroyed him, she had given him a path, albeit a brutal one. The emotional weight of this was staggering. He had betrayed this incredible woman, and her response was not to destroy him, but to teach him, to force him to become the man he never was. The regret was his, but the power was, and always had been, hers. The love story was gone, but a new, much stranger story was beginning. The shocking reveal of the secret CEO was the talk of the town. The karma served to the cheating husband was legendary. But that, it turns out, wasn't the ultimate plot twist. The real story, the truly life-changing part, began the next Monday, when a humbled, humiliated Kevin Simmons actually showed up for his entry-level job. The ultimate plot twist isn't the revenge, it's the journey. Kevin, stripped of his arrogance, his affair, and his power, began to work. He started from the absolute bottom. He fetched coffee. He made copies. He was ignored by some, mocked by others. But he worked, tirelessly. He worked, and for the first time, he watched. He watched Clare Morris run the company. He saw her brilliance, her fairness, her strength. He finally saw her true worth, not as his wife, but as an incredible woman and a visionary leader. He saw the person he had underestimated and betrayed, and the regret was a constant, dull ache. This new journey wasn't about the job. He knew he'd never be CEO again. His redemption wasn't about regaining his position in the company. It was about something far more difficult, earning back his integrity. And in his secret, most guarded heart, it was about earning back the respect, maybe even the love, of the incredible woman he betrayed. This wasn't a revenge story anymore, it was a redemption story. The emotional core of the drama shifted. It became about a man forced to rebuild himself from the ashes of his own making. Karma had given him a punishment, but Claire had given him a chance to be better. The plot twist is that the betrayal didn't end their story, it just started a new, much more complicated chapter. The love story he had destroyed was being replaced by a story of respect, hard work, and a profound, painful regret. He was finally seeing Claire's true worth, long after he had thrown it all away. Do you believe Kevin can be redeemed? Or did his betrayal go too far? This is the central question. His journey from the bottom is the real drama. Had been given a life-changing opportunity. Born from the ashes of his humiliation, he had to re-earn his position. He had to re-earn his integrity. And as he sorted mail, he knew the truth. The job was the easy part. The hard part was facing himself in the mirror and facing the secret CEO he had once called his wife. Knowing he had thrown away a kingdom and a queen, the love story was dead. But maybe, just maybe, a new one could be built from the rubble. This story is a powerful reminder never, ever underestimate the person you think you can just throw away. True power isn't about the noise you make, it's about the moves you make in silence. The ultimate karma is simply revealing the truth. If you believe that integrity is non-negotiable and that everyone deserves to have their true worth seen, then you have found your community. Subscribe and join a family that knows strength often comes from the most unexpected places. Now, we need you to join the mission. Like this video as a sign, that you believe in justice and karma. Comment with your favorite part of this revenge story. Was it the reveal or Kevin's new job? Share this video with one person who needs to be reminded of their own power. And don't let the journey end here. While you wait for our next story, know that our channel is a treasure chest filled with emotional and life-changing journeys just like this one. Explore our older videos and discover other unforgettable stories. To make sure you never miss the incredible stories we're going to tell next, hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what's coming.